Ancient civilizations, lessons from history. The world is witnessing a significant conflict in Ukraine, one that echoes the struggles of ancient civilizations and their quest for survival and dominance. Just as in ancient times, the battles being fought today are not only about territory, but about strategic momentum and survival against overwhelming odds. Historical context. In the past, civilizations like Rome, Greece, and Persia faced similar challenges when their borders were threatened by powerful adversaries. Just as Ukraine faces a manpower shortage and relies on external aid, so too did ancient empires rely on their allies, trade partners, and mercenaries to bolster their defenses. For example, during the Peloponnesian War, Athens sought support from its Delian League allies to counter Sparta's relentless advances. In the same way, Ukraine is awaiting more weapons from its allies and mobilizing soldiers to mitigate its shortages. Current battlefield. The battlefield in Ukraine today mirrors the ancient battlefields of Europe and Asia, where fortifications, supply lines, and strategic locations were key to victory. On the Kharkiv front, Ukraine has managed to halt Russian advances, much like how ancient defenders would hold critical passes or cities to stem the tide of an invading force. In the Serebryansky forest, the struggle is reminiscent of ancient battles fought in dense forests, where terrain played a crucial role in the outcome. Forested regions of Germania saw similar fierce battles between Roman legions and Germanic tribes. But the situation remains perilous. Just as it did for ancient armies facing encirclement or siege, the Russians are advancing on critical logistical nodes, such as Pokrovsk, which could determine the fate of the Ukrainian defense, much like how the fall of key cities decided the fate of ancient empires. Tactics and adaptation. As in ancient times, modern warfare involves adaptation. The Russian forces are now using new tactics, avoiding direct confrontations with elite Ukrainian units and attacking weaker flanks. This is reminiscent of how ancient commanders like Hannibal Barca outmaneuvered stronger Roman forces by targeting their weaknesses and using innovative strategies. The use of drones and modern technology in today's conflict is a far cry from the siege engines and war elephants of ancient battles. But the principle remains the same: adapt, innovate, and exploit your enemy's vulnerabilities. Foreign aid and diplomacy. The role of foreign aid and diplomacy has always been important in the survival of nations. In ancient times, alliances and treaties often determined the outcome of wars. The NATO summit, pledging billions of euros in aid to Ukraine, can be seen as a modern parallel to the aid provided by the Allies during the Greco-Persian Wars, where Greek city-states united against a common enemy. However, just as in ancient times, diplomatic efforts are fraught with challenges. The negotiations between Ukraine, Russia, and their respective allies echo the complex diplomacy of ancient empires, where peace was often elusive and demands were difficult to reconcile. The conflict in Ukraine, like many ancient wars, will likely be determined by a combination of battlefield prowess, strategic alliances, and diplomacy. While the technology and circumstances have changed, the fundamental nature of conflict remains the same. As we observe these events, we can draw valuable lessons from history, reminding us that the struggles of today are deeply rooted in the past.